Hiya. I hope you didn't think that I'd forgotten to answer your question. I got caught up in all of the football traffic yesterday and I completely got lost in a whole bunch of different things. I'm just coming around to it right now. I apologize for the delay. Um, my name's Dale, and yes, I can help you, and I would be happy to. And I think your topic is fascinating and it's been written about way too much. And so I think our job will be narrowing it down. Let me show you what I've gotten so far. All of this, by the way, is de identified. So the only person identifying themselves in this video is myself. But I do have the question. And I tried to think of like, how is this question broken out? What are related terms or synonyms so we can do more than just search for single words. And so this is, I kind of did this. So what role did religion? And then I was like, okay, what are the major religions that were involved in conflicts over the last 120 years or so? There's These are big ones. They're not the only ones, but when you're doing work like this, every time you come across another word, write it down in your notes. I use Microsoft OneNote. I think it's great. Another one is ethnicity. What are ethnic identifications that people have or had? Serb, Croat, Bosniak was a big one. In the native script or native language, the pronunciations are different. So if you're looking for material written in the own voice of a native voice in that native language, these might be different. So this is like the westernized versions of those names and Balkan, and as well as all of these. So one problem that we run into is that this history is all pretty much going to be from a Western perspective. You might want to put in a paragraph saying if you can't find the voices of people who identify as these or any one of those in any of your narratives, and there might be interviews, there might be oral histories and things like that that you could use to get around that bias, but that is a bias that you should be aware of and you can annotate if you want to go like the extra mile. Then we go to the name of the republic, which is well defined in Wikipedia. It's got a long history, but the information gets too big and it's just like, what's going on? But a big key moment is leading up to World War II and the growth of fascism, or kind of like strongman politics. So like your Hitlers and your Mussolinis. When that was happening, all these big areas were being grabbed up by right-wing nationalists or left-wing communists or different things in between. And what happened is in Europe, it's just everything was tumultuous and people started fighting each other, maybe out of fear, maybe out of taking advantage of an opportunity. But something that happened before Yugoslavia was formed is the Croatians, who were right-wing nationalists, so like a Mussolini, Hitler-esque sort of a thing, and they felt that the Serbs were communist. But is that everything, or did they just take advantage of the time to ethnically cleanse or do a genocide? So there's that precedence, that history is a big deal, and there's probably like centuries of things going on before. So ethnic tension, different cultural identities, bumping up against each other and having conflict is nothing new. So there's usually a precedent. So it might be worthwhile talking about that. A big part of it, though, interestingly, is the construction of nationalist identity. So we have things like Serb national identity or Croat national identity, where and again, it's like we want to be the dominant identity for a country. Is that part of it? I also found like genocide, ethnic cleansing. There's also the iterations of that. So maybe like mass deportations, harassment, rape, sexual assault, all sorts of different things happened within the genocide and ethnic cleansing. So how do you get started? First of all, cruise through the main encyclopedia websites and start to read these things and see if you can start to put together a narrative of something you're interested in saying, because there are thousands and thousands of articles about this. But I have an initial approach for you to try. So from the library homepage, I just put in, do I still have it here? I don't. I put in the name of that republic. And you could also, again, from the Western I's, you could put Serb Republic or Serbia or Bosnian War. But I just did that republic name and genocide. You could also do ethnic cleansing as a keyword. This is our library catalog, by the way, and this is free and open to do discovery and searches in. If you run across articles that you want to see, let me know. Or chapters of books. So in here, you can see the names of books, all sorts of different things. For you, the historian, be very aware of the date. A lot has happened since 2003. Ironically, this is a book that I found to be really good. And I'm going to send you a chapter or two from this. But lots of things have changed in Europe and in politics and globalization, especially since social media started getting hot with smartphones in 2006 and 7. Research has changed dramatically. But you can go into the catalog. Here's one trick to show you. I have many tricks up my sleeve. In the library catalog, oh no, there goes my head. Okay, I'm going to close my head. Hopefully this is still going to record for you. Sometimes the animation of my head goes away and it's devastating, but the audio keeps on going for some reason. So when you're going into the library database, the catalog, you can go through these sorting options down the right-hand side. Most databases have these, including Google Scholar. And you can narrow down to date, or you can see like the newest date. So if you want to go off the newest stuff, or you can go, there's a date range. Where's my date range? So like 1993, that's way too old. So you could do newer stuff. But what I wanted you to look at when you're first starting out in this and you're looking for like the major categories to base your research on, you can go by subject. So every article, every book has keywords and subjects written into it by the authors or librarians. And you can see all of those in order. And you can use these as keywords. So war crimes, what's the criteria? What's that? I would look at, for your topic, I would look for that national identity or religious identity, or maybe the names of people who were the figurehead or the representative, or in some circles of sociology, they would call it a charismatic leader who everyone could follow. There's nationalism is a big one. So you could go through each one of these, and if you wanted, you would just like click on one and it would narrow down to those 101 things. So your first job is to cruise through the library catalog and try different words. And you don't have to put and or not or anything like that. You could just put it in natural language searching. But your first job is to go through that. Your second job is there's something called the Utah Education Network. This is where you can have access to a database. I think it's called Academic Search Premier, may still be. And I've asked for the login for the databases, but your databases are going to be in here, and I can show you how to get there, but we just don't have the password yet. So I've asked your instructor, and hopefully they'll send it to me soon. But if you go to campusguides.libutah.edu/IB, and I'll scroll down a little bit so you can see it. So there's that IB. The instructions for getting to that database are right here. But where it says the password is database, that's out of date. That was for 2020. So I'm going to show you a demo of what you can expect when you get to that database. So in our databases, you'd have to be up on campus and you'd have to have a University of Utah Network ID number. If you do have one of those through the IB program, then ignore what I just said and come to this Academic Search Ultimate. From here, you can start to use some of those keywords that I had showed you before. So let me go back. So we could do this. But in this database, you have to use specialized language. So if there's more than one keyword, you have to put it in quotes. Otherwise, it'll search for them together. And then in each keyword, between each one, you'll have to put an and. And if you forget this, just go to the advanced search. So I'm going to do and cleansing and religion or nationalism. And so what I'm doing in here is I'm throwing this together where I wanted to find that Republica, and all the articles that have that in there will have that. And then out of those articles, I want it to sort down to ethnic cleansing. And then out of those articles, I want it to sort down to either religion or nationalism. Do you kind of see what I'm doing here? I wish we were talking together, but if you have questions, let me know. So you can see, oh, look, here's group identity. I didn't think of that one. Let me go back out. And you can just change your keywords as you go. All of a sudden there's two. And so maybe this one's a different word. And do you see how I'm trying out all those keywords that I had worked with before? So it could be this one is what's messing us up because not everyone uses that. So let's do Serbia. But instead, it might be Serb, Serbs, or Serbia. So I can do a little star. And genocide and group identity. Let's see what happens with that. Whoa, all of a sudden I go up to 14. Each one of these articles should have an element of what you're looking for. But you get to be the critical eye that determines which one fits and which one doesn't, because you're already building a narrative. So what I'm going to do is help you contribute to what you have going on. And as you find something and you're like, oh, that's something that I want to look at more of, send me the request of the ideas that you have, and I can send you more articles that are along those lines. What I'm going to do at the outset, at the beginning here, is I have a couple of fundamental things to start with, some articles, a book chapter, and things like that I'm going to send to you. What I'd like you to do is don't go through and read them from cover to cover, but what I'd like you to do for each one is I would like you to just read the abstract. Go through the abstract, look at the title, and mark down in your notes the things that you think are relevant or interesting to your topic, and then we can go on from there. But what I have here are some of the most highly cited articles, and some of them are very basic. So this talks about just the war in general, and some of them are very specific, so or even conceptual, like sacrificial violence. Here's one deliberately about religion and nationalism, and this one doesn't talk about the Bosnia, Serbia, that sort of a thing. This one just talks about the concept of religion and nationalism. So if you find anything in these that could contribute to your main narrative, go ahead and use them. If you want more, or if you go out to Google Scholar, or if you get a hold of this Academic Search Premier, let me know which ones I can help you get a hold of, and I'm happy to help you as you move through this. But the first part of the research that you do is pretty much going around in a panic, trying to find new keywords, and reading enough where you can start to build a story where you could help your reader understand what is going on when you're asking that question that you asked. Okay? I'm happy to help. Happy Friday, and I hope you have a lovely weekend.